Good morning, dear students. Today we talk about relative pronouns. Relative pronouns. Let me check it in Arabic. ضمائر الصلة. Relative pronouns. يعني to be sure that you have got the meaning of the headline in Arabic. Relative pronouns, ضمائر الصلة. Pronouns. What are they? They are who, then whom, then whose, which, where, and when. These are called relative pronouns. Who, whom, whose, which, where, and when. What does who do? The word who replaces human subject. Replaces human subject. By replace I mean تحل محل. replacesها. تحل محل الفاعل العاقل. Who replaces a human subject. Whom replaces a human object. Who and whom for subject and for object. Whose هنا used for possessions. الملكيات. Whose for possessions. Which replaces inhuman. هذا inhuman it might be subject or it might be object. Inhuman, subject or object. Where used for place, and when used for time, place and time. You can use that instead of who. But in certain cases, في حالات محددة. In certain cases, not in all cases, no. And which we can use that instead. إذن who or that for human subject, which or that for inhuman, with certain conditions بشروط محددة. Okay, let me write down this example. I say the lady went out shopping. The lady went out shopping. Next sentence, she lives next to my house. She lives next to my house. These are two sentences. We want to make something called sentence combination. How to combine these two sentences to change them into one by using one of the relative pronouns. The lady went out shopping. She lives next to my house. The pronoun she refers to lady. And because she comes as a human subject, فdrop she and use who instead. Who. Okay, then the first point, the pronoun she refers to the lady, and she is a human subject. Use who instead. What is the sentence? The sentence becomes as follows. The lady who lives next to my house went out shopping. Again, the lady who lives next to my house went out shopping. Here is the clause. هاي موقع شبه الجملة اللي هي who lives next to my house. This is called the clause شبه جملة. وبالتالي this clause, where does it come? It comes next to the noun. It comes next to the noun. It modifies, or it comes closest to the noun. Next to the noun or closest to the noun. يعني directly after the noun it refers to or it modifies. يعني شبه جملة الصلة تأتي دائما بعد الاسم الذي تعرفه. The lady who lives next to my house went out shopping. Don't say the lady who went out shopping lives. No. Second example. I know that man. I know that man. He works in a clinic. I know that man. He works in a clinic. These are two sentences. What is to do? We want to put these two sentences together to make one sentence. This is called something sentence combination. Combine sentences. Join them together. Sentence combination. ربط الجمل. By using who, whom, whose, which, where, and when. Okay. The pronoun, the second sentence, the pronoun he refers to that man. That's right. And because he in this sentence comes as a human subject, then use who. This is who. How does the sentence become? It becomes, I know that man who works in a clinic. I know that man who works in a clinic. هذه جملة مرتبة تلقائيا. وبالتالي who works in a clinic, this clause comes next to the noun. It comes next to the noun. دائما شبه جملة الصلة تأتي ملازمة للاسم الذي تعرفه. I know that man. Which man? Who works in a clinic. Third example. Say, the lady moved to a new house. The lady moved to a new house. Her husband died last year. The lady moved to a new house. Her husband died last year. Look at the second sentence. Daiman, look at the second sentence. In the first example, the second sentence, she refers to the lady. Second example, the second sentence, he refers to that man. The second sentence, her husband. Her, my, your, his, her, our, their, its. What are these? My, your, his, her, our, their, its. What are these? These are called possessive pronouns. ضمائر ملكية. The 7 possessive pronouns. ضمائر ملكية 7. My, your, his, her, our, their, its. إذن drop here and use whose instead. That's whose. Now this clause, هذه شوف الجملة الصلة هذه اللي تبدأ بwhose, whose husband died last year. This clause, where does it come? It comes next to the noun it modifies. Her husband. Husband of whom? Husband of the lady. So I say, the lady whose husband died last year moved to a new house. The lady whose husband died last year moved to a new house. Next sentence. شوف كيف الآن يأتي الربطها. نبحث في الجملة الثانية عن ضمير يعود على اسم في الجملة الأولى، فنستبدله بضمير الصلة يناسبه. بعد ذلك ضمير الصلة وما بعده يأتي ملازما للاسم اللي دل عليه. It comes closest to the noun it modifies. It comes next to the noun it modifies or to the noun it refers to. See, July is the month. The weather is hot. Then July is the month. The weather is hot. Then this word then هذه time word كلمة زمنية. Then refers to what? Refers to the month. July is the month. The weather is hot then. يعني in July, يعني in that month. فthen here is a time word كلمة زمنية refers to the month. Instead use when. When you see the relative pronoun comes last in a sentence, drop it and put it first. عندما ترى ضمير الصلة جاء في نهاية الجملة أو وسط الجملة استبدلوا إلى بدايتها. How does the new sentence become? It becomes as follows. July is the month when the weather is hot. July is the month when the weather is hot. فwhen the weather is hot, this clause comes next to the noun it modifies, which is the month. Next example. Spring is the season. Spring is the season. Flowers bloom then. تتفتح يعني تزهر. Spring is the season. Flowers bloom then. The word then again is a time word, and because it refers to time, drop it and use when. And because when comes last in a sentence, leave it out and put it first. Here, when. Then this clause comes next to the noun to the season. Then here refers to the season. So I say spring is the season. Spring is the season when flowers bloom. Spring is the season when flowers bloom. Next example. The house was built. The house was built last year. I am living in it now. The house was built last year. I'm living in it now. Here we have more than one way. There are two ways, and more than two, by the way. The pronoun it, this it, refers to the house. And because the pronoun it is inhuman. It here is inhuman. Instead use which. Then drop it and use which instead. Wherever you see a pronoun, relative pronoun, comes middle in a sentence or last in a sentence, leave it out and put it first. And put it first in a sentence. How to read the sentence? You say, the house, which I am living in now, the house which I am living in now was built last year. Let me write down the sentence. Let me write it down. The house. Number A. The house which I am living in now was built last year. Was built last year. This is one way. Again, the pronoun it is inhuman, refers to the house. That's right. Use which. And because which comes mid in a sentence, put it first. That's which. Where does the which clause come? Where is the which clause located? Where? Next to the noun it modifies. Next to the house. So I say, the house which I am living in now was built last year. That's right. Second way. الآن بدي هنا أقرأ الجملة الثانية. I am living in it now. بدي أضع خط هنا تحت مش it، تحت in it. There's difference between it and in it. It is an inhuman, but in it is a place. And in the house, in it. And being place, use where instead. That's where. Then where تحل محل in it. And because where comes middle sentence, leave it out and put it first. That's where. How does the new sentence become? You say, the house where I am living now, the house where I am living now was built last year. This is the other way around. The house where. إذن where شابه هنا حل محل in it. أما which حل محل it فقطها. The house where I am living now بدون in it was built last year. Was built last year. Example. New example. The teacher arrived on time. The teacher arrived on time. I saw him at school. The teacher arrived on time. I saw him at school. The pronoun him refers to the teacher. I saw him. إذن أبحث شباب هنا، أبحث في الجملة الثانية عن ضمير يعود على اسم في الجملة الأولى. I saw him. Him refers to the teacher. And because him comes as object, human, يعني human object, use whom. And because whom comes mid in a sentence, leave it out, put it first. Here. Now, the whom clause شبه جملة whom كاملة comes next to the noun it refers to. So I say the teacher whom I saw at school arrived on time. The teacher whom I saw at school arrived on time. Or instead of whom, use that. ما كنا الآن whom or that. The teacher that I saw at school. Next one. That has been the table. That has been the table. Next sentence. I put my books on it. That has been the table. That has been the table. I put my books on it. More than one way. More than one way. First, هاي number A. The pronoun it here refers to the table. That's right. And because it is any human, use which. Hi which. And because which comes last in a sentence, drop it and put it first here. What's the new sentence? The new sentence is as follows. That has been the table which I put my books on. That has been the table which I put my books on. Let me write the sentence. That has been the table which I put my books on. Which I put my books on. Second way. الطريقة الثانية. بقرأ جملتين مرة ثانية شباب هنا. That has been the table I put my books on it. الآن on it together. And on the table. هذه place. And because of that, drop it, use where. And because where comes last in a sentence, leave it out, put it first. That's where. What's the new sentence? It's as follows. That has been the table where I put my books. That has been the table where I put my books. For where حل محل on it. بينما which حل محل it فقط. Then that has been the table where I put my books. Where I put my books. Then this is, dear students, something called sentence combination. How to combine the two sentences into one. Join the two sentences into one by using who, whom, whose, which, where, and when. Okay. Sentence A. The man. The man. Who? The man. Whom I met yesterday. The man whom I met yesterday is a doctor. The man whom I met yesterday is a doctor. هاي جملة طبعا جاهزة كاملة في ضمير whom. بدي أترك فراغ شوي هنا قليلا وأحط sentence B. I say Joe. Not the man, Joe. Whom I met yesterday yesterday is a doctor. The same sentence, the same words. The same words, with difference. The man and Joe. The man whom I met yesterday is a doctor. John, whom I met yesterday, is a doctor. How can you, what is the main division of sentence A? The main division. How can you divide sentence number A? What are the two parts? The two parts of sentence A. شو التقسيم الرئيسي للجملة A؟ كيف نقسمها لجزئين؟ The answer is the man is a doctor. Have one part. The man is a doctor. Second sentence, Joe is a doctor. What is left? شو بقي من الجملة؟ Whom I met yesterday and whom I met yesterday. The جملة the man is a doctor, this is called main clause. Main clause شبه جملة رئيسية، وهي جملة تامة طبعا. دائما بس يكون main clause نقصد فيها a full sentence، complete sentence. فالجملة التامة يشار لها أحيانا بعبارة main clause، شبه جملة رئيسية. إذن in the main clause وهي the man is a doctor. The man is a doctor. The other clause is called relative clause. والجزء الثاني يسمى شبه جملة صلة، اللي هي whom I met yesterday، اللي هي whom I met yesterday. This is called a relative clause. Why? Because it begins with whom. لأنه أي جملة شباب هنا تبدأ بهو أو whom أو whose أو which أو where أو when نسميها دائما شبه جملة صلة. هكذا نسميها، اسمها relative clause، لأن هذه أدوات صلة، أدوات ربط. إذن again, the man is a doctor is main clause. Whom I met yesterday is relative clause. كذلك sentence B, the same division. The same division، نفس التقسيم. Joe is a doctor is main clause. Whom I met yesterday is relative clause. خليني أختصر لكم الآن كلمة relative clause، أختصرها ب RC. RC وهذه RC. Again, what do the letters RC stand for? RC means relative clause. هذا الرمز تعني شبه جملة صلة. RC relative clause. Relative clause. But the question now is, what is the difference? What is the difference between relative clause in A and relative clause in B? What's the difference? Although they have the same words, by the way. إذن أضع عنوان هنا شباب الآن اسمه relative clause. Relative clause. هذا عنوان شبه جملة الصلة. There are two types وهي نوعان. Defining and non-defining. Defining and non-defining. التسمية الكاملة اسمها defining relative clause and non-defining relative clause. Let me check it in Arabic. Defining معرفة. ترى كيف مكتوب في العربي؟ مش معرفة، معرفة. وهنا غير معرفة. Defining relative clause and non-defining relative clause. Again, I say in Arabic معرفة وغير معرفة. Don't say معرفة، معرفة. Is it clear? In Arabic. شبه جملة صلة معرفة وشبه جملة صلة غير معرفة. The question now in these two examples, which is which? Which is which? أيهما الآخر? In sentence A, the man whom I met yesterday is a doctor. Whom I met yesterday in sentence A is defining. But whom I met yesterday in sentence B is non-defining. If someone asks, how can this be? ممكن أحدكم هنا شباب يسأل كيف يا أستاذ هذا؟ كيف يعني في sentence A defining but in sentence B non-defining؟ لكن العكس مثلا. Okay, let me simplify this point. Let me simplify this point for you. When I start saying the man, before I go ahead with the sentence, when I say the man, what's your question? What is it? The answer is, which man, teacher? When I say the man, your question is, which man, teacher? Why do you ask which man? Why do you ask? Because the man is an unknown subject. You don't know the man. Do you know him? No. I don't know the man. It's unknown. يعني فاعل غير معروف. The man. That's why you ask, which man, teacher? Which man's here? And because this subject, the man, is unknown, what comes next must define him. What comes next must define the man, because the man is an unknown subject. فكونه فاعل غير معروف فما بعده لازم يعرفه. فthis clause which comes next to the man is called defining relative clause. طب why this عندما بها? Why this one is non-defining? Let me explain once more. When I start a sentence saying Joe, you can't ask which Joe, sir. Why? Because when I start saying Joe, this means that I and you have to know Joe. I and you have to know Joe. وبالتالي Joe doesn't need any more information about. He doesn't need. وبالتالي the clause that comes next to Joe does not define him. The clause that comes next to Joe does not define him because Joe is well defined by himself. He's well defined by himself. فشبه الجملة اللي تأتي بعد جو لا تعرفه لأنه معرف بطبيعته. فعندما أبدأ جملة يقول جو لازم يكون جو معروف to whom? To me as a speaker and to you as a person spoken to. فجو must be known to me and to you. To me as a speaker and to you as a person spoken to. For you and I have to know Joe. Don't ask me about Joe. That's why the clause that comes next to Joe is non-defined, does not define him. But the clause that comes next to the man defines him. Then Joe here is known subject بالمقارنة مع the man. هذا known. The man is unknown. And to make the difference clear in writing, between defining and undefining, حتى يكون الفرق واضح بين defining and undefining. كتابة in writing, say, Joe, comma, whom I met yesterday, comma, is a doctor. For the non-defining clause comes between two commas. It comes between two commas. So I say Joe, comma, whom I met yesterday, second comma, is a doctor. But there are no commas used in the case of defining. No commas at all. This is one full sentence. So I say, the man whom I met yesterday is a doctor. Okay. What's the logic? يعني ما الحكمة behind using commas? The answer is, you can leave this clause out. You can say Joe is doctor, that's it. Without using whom I met yesterday, without. إذن in non-defining بتكون معلومتها هذه معلومتها extra information. هاي اسم معلومة إضافية extra. يعني you can what? You can do without it. تستغني عنها. Just say Joe as doctor. That's quite sufficient. That's enough. Without saying whom I met yesterday. But the defining relative clause, what is said about the information? The information is called basic information. Basic information. هذه معلومتها أساسية. يعني you can't leave out. You can't drop. You can't do without. هذه شبه الجملة الصلة المعرفة لا يمكن حذفها نهائي. Why? It is part of the whole sentence. هذا جزء من الجملة part. But this was not part. Leave it out. Say Joe as a doctor. That's it. إذن to make the difference clear between defining and non-defining, use the two commas in the case of non-defining. Two commas. بالتالي if I change Joe into Ali, into Mary, the same, makes a difference. يعني any proper any proper name, أي اسم علم, the clause that comes next is called non-defining. Change Joe into Ali, the same, non-defining. Any proper name, أي اسم علم ما يأتي بعده لا يعرفه. Example. رقم A. The workers, comma, who went on strike, second comma, were fired. The workers, العمالها, who went on strike, اللي استمروا بالإضراب, were fired, طردوا. Were fired. Again, the workers who went on strike were fired. Second sentence, the same subject, the workers. لكن هنا without commas. Who went on strike were fired. The same words. But in sentence A في two commas, in sentence B there are no commas. يعني in sentence A هذه non-defining relative clause, وهذه defining without commas. The question is, what is the difference in meaning between these two sentences? The difference in meaning. Read, dear students, read the two sentences. اقرأ جملتين. The workers, comma, who went on strike, second comma, were fired. Let me check the sentence in Arabic. العمال الذين استمروا بالإضراب طردوا. The workers who went on strike were fired. What is the difference in meaning between sentence A and B? The difference in meaning. You think, dear students, think of the sentence. Try to find any difference possible. أي فرق محتمل هنا. طبعا واضح هنا هذه. This is defining, that's non-defining. This is called extra information, that's basic information. معروف هاي واضح. هاي extra information. هذه basic information. طيب غيره. خليني أسأل السؤال بطريقة ثانية. Who was fired. Who was fired in each sentence? This is a question. Who was fired in each sentence? من طرد في كل جملة. Don't say the workers. No. Who was fired in each sentence? What's the answer? Who was fired in sentence A and who was fired in sentence B? The answer is in A, في sentence A, all workers. All workers. In B, sentence B يعني some workers. Some workers. Just. In A, all workers were fired. In B, some workers. Do you know why? Because this one is non-defining. What is meant by non-defining? Non-defining means leave this sentence out. You can say the workers were fired. And this means that all workers were fired. It means all workers were fired. But you can't leave this clause out. You can't. We tell you who was fired in sentence B. The answer is just those who went on strike. The workers who went on strike, just. Even some workers. فالحدث في non-defining يقع على الكل. والحدث في defining يقع على البعض. All and some. And that makes the basic difference between defining and non-defining. Okay. We shall continue next time, inshallah. This subject has not come to an end. It needs more and more time. See you next time.